Hey everyone, ever found yourself stuck at a crazy long checkout line?
Mm.
Like seriously, how do they even begin to manage that chaos?
Right.
Well, get ready to meet the unsung heroes of retail checkout supervisors. These are the folks who keep those lines moving and make sure your shopping trip doesn't end in a total meltdown. And today, we're diving deep into what it takes to rock this role. We've got RoleCatcher's Checkout Supervisor, the complete career guide.
Oh, yeah, I looked at that too. It's really comprehensive.
That's the word. I was so impressed. You might think it's all just scanning and bagging, right?
Right.
But there's way more to it.
It's a lot more than meets the eye, that's for sure.
Okay, so paint a picture for us. What does a checkout supervisor actually do?
So, imagine them as the conductor of an orchestra, right? They're orchestrating the entire checkout process, managing cashiers, dealing with tech issues, self-checkout freakouts, and basically making sure customers leave happy campers, or, at least not in a full-blown rage quit with their shopping cart.
Okay, that's a hilarious image. It sounds like you need some serious customer service chops for this gig.
Definitely. You got to be able to handle the heat.
One thing that really struck me in the guide was the emphasis on technology. It's not your grandma's cash register anymore.
Oh, no, not even close.
So how has tech changed the game for checkout supervisors?
Well, think about it. You've got inventory management software, mobile payment systems, those self-checkout kiosks we talked about. A checkout supervisor needs to be comfortable with all of it.
It's like being a tech guru on top of everything else.
Pretty much.
That's actually really interesting for anyone listening, even if you're not into retail, because those tech skills are like universally valuable these days.
Totally. It's all about being adaptable, and this role definitely demands that.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the behind-the-scenes action and the tech side, but let's get real about the good, the bad, and the potentially long hours of being a checkout supervisor. The guide doesn't sugarcoat anything.
I appreciated that about it, actually.
Yeah, for sure.
They keep it real about the challenges, long hours, the occasional difficult customer being on your feet all day, but they also highlight the amazing growth potential.
Okay, so let's start with the positives. What kind of growth are we talking about?
Well, starting as a checkout supervisor can be a stepping stone to, say, store manager, even regional manager.
Wow, so there's a real career path here.
Absolutely. There's a whole ladder to climb.
And what about salary? Is it decent?
The guide mentioned the salary potential is pretty good, especially as you climb those ranks.
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
But of course, it's not all sunshine and roses, right? You mentioned the challenges, the long hours, dealing with, well, let's just say it, difficult customers.
Yeah, you got to be ready for those. It's definitely a fast-paced environment, but for someone who thrives on that, who enjoys leading a team, who gets a real kick out of making things run smoothly, the guide suggests those challenges can be totally outweighed by the rewards.
I like that, finding the right fit. And speaking of finding the right fit, let's dive into the career progression laid out in the guide. I found it super interesting how they break it down step by step.
Yeah, it's very well structured.
So walk us through it.
Sure. So you usually start as a cashier, which the guide describes as the foundation, right? You're learning the ropes, customer interaction, processing transactions, understanding how the whole checkout flow works.
Okay, so it's all about mastering those essential skills. What's next?
Then you might move up to senior cashier, and this is where you get your first taste of leadership.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
Well, senior cashiers take on more responsibility, training new cashiers, handling more complex transactions, maybe even opening or closing the register for the day.
So you're starting to demonstrate those core competencies.
Yeah.
The guide keeps mentioning communication, problem solving, that kind of thing.
Exactly. It's about showing you can handle the pressure and think on your feet.
It sounds like a stepping stone to a more managerial role.
You got it. And from there, you might get promoted to assistant checkout supervisor.
Okay, so now you're really in the thick of it. What does that look like day to day?
So according to the guide, you would be creating staff schedules, handling those trickier customer issues, the ones that need a little extra finesse, and basically becoming the checkout supervisor's right hand.
So it's like being the Robin to their Batman.
Exactly.
I love it. Okay, so you're gaining some serious experience in problem solving and decision making at this level.
For sure. It's about proving you can handle the pressure and the responsibility of leading a team.
Which leads us to the top spot.
Yep. You become the checkout supervisor.
The ultimate checkout champion. So at this point, you're calling the shots, right? Making sure everything's running like a well-oiled machine.
That's it. You're leading your team, setting goals, Optimizing the checkout process, minimizing those wait times.
Keeping everyone happy.
Exactly.
It sounds like there's a lot of strategic thinking involved, not just day-to-day management.
Definitely. It's about seeing the bigger picture.
And the guide mentions that even from there, the climb doesn't have to stop. You could even become a senior checkout supervisor.
Yeah, that's like the executive level of checkout supervisors.
Whoa, there are levels to this. What does a senior checkout supervisor do?
Think managing a whole team of supervisors, overseeing multiple checkout zones, maybe even developing training programs for the whole store.
Wow, now that's impressive. It just goes to show there's so much opportunity for growth in this one role.
Absolutely. You can build a whole career around this, and the skills you pick up along the way are seriously valuable no matter where you end up.
Speaking of skills, the guide has this really cool section on common interview questions for checkout supervisor roles. Want to tackle a few?
Yeah, let's see what they throw at us.
Okay, first one, imagine a customer is absolutely fuming because the scanner won't read a coupon.
Uh-oh.
How would you handle that situation?
That's a classic. Okay, so first things first, stay calm. You got to empathize with the customer. They're frustrated, right? Then find a solution that works for everyone.
So it's not just about fixing the technical problem, but also managing the emotional side of things.
Exactly.
That takes some serious skills.
It does.
Okay, ready for another one?
Hit me with it.
All right, this one is interesting. How would you motivate your team to, say, achieve sales goals or promote a new product?
Ooh, the art of leadership. This one's all about inspiring your team, getting them excited.
So what's the secret sauce?
Well, the guy talked about setting clear expectations, maybe offering some incentives, and just creating a really positive and supportive team environment.
It's like being a coach, guiding your team to victory.
Exactly.
Okay, last question. How do you stay up to date on the latest retail technologies and trends?
That is so crucial in this field because things are changing all the time.
So how do you stay ahead of the curve?
The guide mentioned attending industry events, reading trade publications, even just being curious and checking out new technologies on your own.
It's all about being proactive and adaptable, which makes sense in a fast-paced world like retail.
Couldn't agree more. That's what keeps things interesting.
Totally. You know, we've been talking a lot about technology, and it reminded me of something else the guide mentioned. Have you heard of this tool called RoleCatcher?
Yeah. RoleCatcher's super cool. It's a platform that uses AI to help job seekers navigate the whole application process, which is getting really automated these days.
AI in recruitment.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Okay, tell me more about that because it sounds both futuristic and a little bit intimidating.
I know, right? It definitely feels very 21st century. So basically, RoleCatcher looks at job descriptions and resumes and uses AI to figure out what skills and keywords are going to get noticed by those applicant tracking systems, you know, those AI gatekeepers we talked about earlier.
So it's like having a secret weapon to make your resume stand out.
Exactly. It's about working smarter, not harder.
Especially since these AI systems are becoming so common in the hiring process.
That is amazing. It really shows how important it is to stay informed about these advancements, even in a field like retail, that you wouldn't necessarily think of as being on the cutting edge of AI.
Absolutely. Technology is changing everything. It's a great way to get your foot in the door to management.
Okay, so you're working your way up, learning the ropes, proving yourself. What's the next step?
Well, if you're killing it as an assistant checkout supervisor, you might just find yourself on track to become the checkout supervisor.
That's it. You've reached the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
So what's it like to finally be the big cheese?
Well, now you're calling the shots, making sure the whole checkout process runs like a well-oiled machine.
So you're leading your team, setting goals, optimizing everything.
Exactly.
Making sure those wait times are minimal, customers are happy. It sounds like there's a real strategic element to it, not just the day-to-day stuff.
Oh, for sure. You've got to think big picture.
And the guide even mentions that it doesn't have to end there, right? You could even become a senior checkout supervisor.
That's right. The guide actually breaks down those different levels of seniority, which I found really helpful.
So what does a senior checkout supervisor actually do? What sets them apart?
Think of it as the executive level of checkout supervision. You'd be overseeing a whole team of supervisors, multiple checkout zones, maybe even developing training programs or strategies for the entire store.
That's amazing. It really goes to show that there's so much room for growth within this one role.
Absolutely. It's not just a stepping stone. You can build a whole career around this. And the skills you develop along the way are incredibly valuable.
Speaking of skills, I love that the guide included this whole section on common interview questions for checkout supervisor roles. Want to try a few?
Let's do it. Put me in the hot seat.
Okay, first one. Imagine a customer is absolutely fuming because the scanner won't read a coupon. How do you handle that?
Ooh, that's a tough one. But it's so common, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, first things first, you got to stay calm.
Easier said than done when someone's yelling at you.
Right. But it's key. You've got to empathize with the customer. They're frustrated. Then try to find a solution that works for everyone.
So it's not just about fixing the technical glitch. It's about managing the human side of things,
Exactly.
which takes serious skills.
It does. It does.
Okay, ready for another one?
Hit me.
All right. How would you motivate your team to, say, achieve sales goals or promote a new product?
That's a great question. I think that's something every leader grapples with, right?
Totally.
You want to inspire people. The guide talked about setting really clear expectations, maybe offering some incentives, and fostering a really positive and supportive environment for your team.
Like being a coach, almost. You want to guide them to victory.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's all about teamwork.
Okay, last question. How do you stay up to date on the latest retail technologies and trends?
Oh man, that is so crucial in this field because it feels like things are changing every single day.
Right. So how do you keep up?
Well, the guide mentioned a few things: attending industry events, reading those trade publications, even just following your curiosity and checking out new tech on your own.
It's about being adaptable, being proactive.
Exactly. You got to stay ahead of the curve.
And that's what makes it exciting. You know, we've been talking a lot about technology, and it reminded me of something else the guide mentioned. Have you heard of this tool called RoleCatcher?
Oh, yeah. RoleCatcher. It's incredible. It's this platform that uses AI to help job seekers navigate the whole application and recruitment process, which honestly is getting so automated these days.
AI in recruitment.
That's wild.
It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. AI looking at your resume.
I know, right?
Ah.
But it's a reality now.
So how does it actually work? Does it like write your resume for you?
It doesn't write it for you, but it helps you tailor it to those AI systems.
Yeah.
So RoleCatcher analyzes job descriptions, figures out what they're really looking for, and then helps you highlight the right skills and keywords on your resume so it gets seen by a human. So it's like having a secret weapon to get past the robots and into the hands of a real person.
Exactly. And that's huge because those applicant tracking systems can be ruthless.
No kidding. It's amazing how much technology is impacting the job market, even in fields like retail that you might not traditionally associate with AI.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere.
This has been such a fascinating deep dive. We've uncovered the hidden world of checkout supervisors, from managing teams and handling tech to dealing with those sometimes challenging customers and even prepping for interviews.
It's a role that really does require a unique set of skills.
It does. And what's really cool is that those skills, leadership, communication, problem solving, tech savviness, those are transferable to pretty much any field.
Totally. So even if you're thinking, retail's not really my jam, the experience you'd gain in a role like this could be valuable no matter where you end up.
Exactly. Well, as we wrap up, here's a final thought for everyone listening. Think about your own career path for a second. How is technology changing things in your field? What skills can you develop to not just keep up, but really thrive in this ever-evolving world? Keep those questions in mind as you move forward, and don't be afraid to embrace the change. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of Checkout Supervisors, and we'll catch you in the next episode.